Are you a wholesaler or someone who's looking to explore getting into wholesaling? Well, I'm here to show you how to get your first deal by showing you how I got my first deal. It's really a 5-step process on how you can begin to do this as well. All starts with lead generation, learning how to have an acquisition process with your clients, talking to them, underwriting the deal, being able to handle the paperwork, know the terms, and being able to find an end buyer. So you need to work on this consistently, being persistent, and you're going to be able to do this too. So for you to be most successful in wholesaling, you're going to need to start off with understanding lead generation. So when I first got started a couple years ago, my dad just handed me a list of probate leads from this company, All the Leads. It was a really tough list, and I wasn't really getting that much answered, but I came in every Saturday at first for about 3 weeks. At first it was just me, and I ended up bringing in one of my friends to be like a battle buddy to make calls with. And that helped me just continuously show up and fail forward in making these calls. I did get some answers, but there were a lot of turbulences of getting someone to answer the phone and actually have a real good conversation. And I barely knew what I was doing. I was just reading off the script my dad provided me and didn't have too much guidance at first. So once I was having trouble with this, I was just graduating high school at the time, was starting to watch some YouTube and join some Facebook groups, talk to some people who were doing wholesaling as well to see how they're generating leads. So I started to check out Flipster, Batch Leads, List Source, and I started off with just paying for Flipster and was cold calling absentee owners, vacant properties for quite a long time, for about 3 months. I was cold calling those every day for about 8 to 12 hours a day. Once I graduated high school, it was a process of actually learning the acquisitions, of cold calling these people consistently and knowing what to say, failing forward. So I was listening to a lot of seller call recordings from people like Jerry Norton, Pace Morby, being next to me just cold calling and have my dad listen into my calls, having the call recordings because I was using a dialer system like REI Reply to be able to get the leads, to call 3 leads at a time pretty much. So when someone is answering the phone, it just shows up and I can get out to way more people at the time, and that really helped. So this is what I was doing at first to get my first deal. To understand the process, you have to really talk about some relatability of who you are, why you're actually reaching out, how you can help. Understand that we're just someone trying to help sell their house. If they actually have a reason to sell it, we have to be able to identify that, see what their problems are, see what they've been going through, and then we might potentially have a solution that we're able to provide to them. They might have some concerns, but if they don't have any concerns, or maybe we can explain away those concerns, we might have a deal to get them to make a decision and sign some paperwork. So you do have to make sure to, before getting anyone to sign the paperwork, you need to understand how to underwrite a deal. Because before I got my first deal with Bonnie on this deal, I had 6 to 7 deals under contract while I was following up with her for 4 months because she was one of my first leads, but I was really focused in on calling these same owners, but I had some turbulences with understanding construction because I didn't know the costs. Even though my dad did do a lot of fix and flips, I was jumping into different markets like Toledo, Cleveland, Detroit. Some were in the Pontiac like this one here. But we really need to understand hoarder houses versus turnkey houses, maybe light rehabs versus medium. And it was a learning curve because I never looked at houses like that. I was just looking at houses as a kid. So make sure you understand different things about the price per square foot of what it's going to cost you to rehab or different locations of rehab costs. So after that, I was having trouble determining ARV and got properties under contract too high, thinking I did follow the 70% rule, but I really didn't because I didn't have the accurate ARV because I didn't pull the right comparable sales and know how to know which one was more of the same amenities, property type, and condition. So after that, depending on the condition, you can use different softwares like Zillow, RentCast, and find out the rent to see if it might be a good rental property, if it's a duplex. I did have one property under contract which was a duplex and thought it could be a good rental, but the seller actually ghosted me and wasn't able to close on this property and ended up filing a memorandum and still have one to this day, 2 years later. they haven't sold this property. So now you have to understand the paperwork process because it's very important with knowing the purchase price, inspection period, earnest money, deposit, closing date, because I did have a deal as well where I didn't put up earnest money. I ended up signing an amendment that the seller had sent me with their attorney, and I was actually held liable for that and had to pay $1,000 because I was past the inspection period and wasn't monitoring it properly. So make sure you know what's going on when doing paperwork and doing it properly. And ask for guidance from other people because you might not know what you're doing yourself. So for the property that I actually did for my first deal, it was in Pontiac, Michigan, and I had it under contract at $40,000. I had to pretty much follow up with this lady for 4 months consistently because she had some emotional attachment to this property and believed that everything in the house should be hers. It was her childhood home, and she wanted us to move everything inside that house into her current house. She had this property for 15 years, didn't know what to do with it. Now, she needed the money because she got in a car accident previously and totaled that completely, couldn't get around, had a lot of bills stacking up, and the monthly income from her retirement just wasn't enough for her to sustain, and we ended up being able to provide that $40,000 to her during that struggling time for her. So she had to pray on it, think about it for several months in a row. Every time I called her, she was like, I'm still thinking about it, praying on it, call me again. She really just loved talking to someone. She had no one to talk to. She was an 80-year-old lady, and we met her in person a couple times in between as well, like at the house, had her come to our office. It took her a while to really make a decision. So you have to be able to push people and guide them through the transaction because they've never done this before. And you might have done it. You might not have done it on your first one, but you need to talk to people who have done it so you know what you're doing. So I then didn't have the buyer for this deal and ended up talking to my dad and seeing who he had within his network, which was Clark the Shark, someone he's done some flips with in the past and also done some realtor transactions with. But this is a wholesale deal where we had it at $40,000 and sold it to him at $50,000 and made $10,000 total and split it 50-50. So this is how we got my first wholesale deal, and pretty much there was some learning mistakes as we did give her a 30-day post-closing and thought that we would actually be able to vacate everything in her house, but she had clothes and different bookshelves stacked to the ceiling from 30 years ago. So our buyer, Clark, actually took 3 months of trying to get that stuff out, and we were supposed to move it to her house, but he actually ended up throwing it out into the trash. So we did our best to help her in that situation, but she didn't really want to help herself. So you have to understand clients have different personalities and don't have their full resources, and you got to do your best to help them, but you can't do it every time. So make sure you're able to understand the ARV, know the construction cost, and know people within your network to buy the property. If you can get the lead and be persistent and call them over a long enough period of time, you'll get a deal soon. Have a great one, and let's see where your deals and journeys lead you to.
How's it going? It's Justin. I'm with my client Bonnie. We just purchased her house today, just closed on it, and we've been helping her a lot through the process since June, and we've been helping her. She really needed someone to talk to a lot, and that's what I come in to help with, because I try to find the seller's needs always and help them to the best of my ability.
Isn't he the cutest thing? He's a handsome young fella. Hi, I'm Bonnie Martin, and I was grateful that Justin got a hold of me, and he's been a delight to deal with, and we just closed today, right?
Yep, you got your check right there.
Oh, yes, I do. I do.
Finally, the
I'm
money's been waiting
going
for.
to get me a car because it got totaled in an accident, and some other near, really almost emergency billing things I need now. it's going to help me with. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. It was our pleasure, Bonnie.
Oh, good. I love it when you say that. All right.